Hi, I'm Joyce, and this is Humanities 1 or 2. For my video project, I chose the interesting narrative of the life of Aliuda Equiano, or Gustavus Vasa, the African. The book was actually written by him. It's his narrative, it's his words. He was born in Nigeria in 1745 in Benin State, and he came from the Igbo tribe. They live a very simple life. So for culture, the chiefs lead the people. They had priests, magicians, and wise men. The important men had mark of distinction on their face, show how important they are. Custom: during mealtime, they always wash their hands thoroughly and pour a small portion of food and drink on the floor for the dead, so they can protect them from evil spirits. Tradition: the father is the head of the household. He eats alone and he sleeps with his male children. The women sleep with their female children by themselves in another hut. During marriages are arranged at an early age. So they have diary. Diary will include, they give slaves, they give land, they give household belongings and other stuff. So at the age of 11, while he and his sister were playing out and his parents went out to the farm to look for food, to get food, they were captured by African slaves, owners who came to the village and captured them into the slave trade. He and his sister were devastated. They was really devastated. They separated in the next day. He didn't see his sister for some time. When he saw his sister, he was so excited. Both of them were so excited to see each other. They held onto one another during the whole entire night. But when morning came, they had to separate, and they were separated. And that was the last time he saw his sister. So he went all over Africa with different slave masters, African slave masters. He was mostly treated well with these slave owner, because he was so young at 11. He was still a kid. He was treated well. So he finally was sold to the European, and he came to the Caribbean. When he went to the Caribbean, they shipped him to Virginia. He worked on the plantation, but at one time he preferred death than living, because he could not communicate with the other slaves, and he was so devastated, so he wished death upon himself. After that, one day, a lieutenant for the British Naval Royal Army came over and bought him and took him on the ship to England. And the lieutenant name is Michael Pascal. He fought with the British. He helped the British fight the French for 7 years. So after the war was over, because he had served Pascal, he thought he was going to be free, because Pascal took all his money, all his earning, all his belongings. So he thought he was going to be free, but he was wrong. During the time on his journey in the ship, he came across some wonderful people who taught him how to read, how to write. When he saw England for the first time, he thought England was this magical place, that they wasn't selling each other, they wasn't killing each other, they were happy more than his people in Africa. So he began to change his mind about the white people he thought that was so evil, they was going to eat him at one point. So he was also baptized and believed and turned into a Christian. Yeah. So at the end of the war, Pascal sold him. Pascal also, when he was on the ship, Pascal also named him Gustavus Vasa, and that was his name. So after the war, he was sold to another slave masters. Then he was sold to another person, a Quaker. So the Quaker promised him if he earned enough money to free himself, he would be free. At the end, he worked really hard by selling goods up and down through Europe and the Caribbean in America, and earn enough to buy his freedom. So he got his freedom. So when he went back to England, he used his Christian faith to use pity on for the English people or the white people to have pity on themselves for selling slavery. So he said on his quote, "Do unto other as you will want other to do unto you." With his Christian faith, he helped abolish slavery. So he had this movement going on, writing every newspaper, talking to everybody, says slavery is wrong. This is wrong. We should find another means to help trade, so African can benefit and European can benefit. So we don't have slave trade anymore. So he wrote his book. He was very famous. So how you call it? For my culture, I'm from Liberia. And growing up in Liberia, when after school closed, I used to go to the village to my grandmother, and I used to go on the farm where everybody would leave the house and go on the farm and come back at night and cook, and we all sit around the fire pit and eat and talk, and she would tell me stories and all of that. While I was reading it, it really brought my own culture to light. Because all the food he named, the plantain, I still eat plantain. The edible, I still eat edible. So all those food was bringing memories from my childhood. And also, we had a very brutal war in my country in Liberia in 1990. And during that war, I lost my mother. She separated from us, and I haven't heard from her since. So it's the same case as him, Equiano, separating from his parents, separating from his sibling. I still feel pity for him as a child of 11-year-old to have separated from his parent and his family. There are so many different scenes. The scene when it was on the Middle Passage, slavery was choosing death over living. They chose to get in the water and get drowned than to be slave. There was an instant that one person was cut and they brought him back. They beat him so much, so mercifully, to show the other slaveries that this is wrong, you cannot escape, you have to go with us, and as a mind game to control them. And after that, the condition was deplorable. Women was being raped, there was diseases, people were dying from diseases, they were suffocating from their own, they were suffocating because there was no ventilation, and it was the condition was just deplorable. It was horrible, inhumane, the condition they went through. So there's so many different scenes that help me understand the time and culture of this. Yeah. One of the scenes that when his master was trading him, he said, "I'm a free man, I'm baptized, and by law, no one can sell me because I'm an Englishman." But no matter what, because of the color of his skin, he was still considered a slave. Even though he had worked 7 years for Pascal sold him off, and that was devastating. There was another saying tradition. When he went to one of the African countries, he went to this family. He and one of the son, the master's son, they used to eat together. But because he was older than his boy, he always eat first because that was in his own country. That was a custom. That's what he used to do. If you are older, you eat. In my culture, we give a whole lot of respect to somebody who is older. Like you do not call them by their name. You put sister or brother to their name. You treat them with respect because they are like a second parents when your parents are not there. So I will definitely recommend this book to anyone, and this can even turn into a movie to show the slave trade, and how people suffer and die, and people were separated from their family, men separated from their wives, children from their mothers, brothers from their sister. It's a really good book that I recommend because it's so educational that it shows so many different incidents that you can learn from. Thank you.